Hello, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm here to share with you a beautiful tulip card. I love this stamp set. The reason I say the card's beautiful is just because of the stamps. I love how these new distinctable stamps that Stampin' Up! Makes stamp. It looks like it's a two-step stamp, but you're actually just stamping it one time. It's so cool. Love this card. So let's get started. First off, I want to share with you the bundle that I'm using to make this card. It's the Timeless Tulips bundle. It's in the January to June 2020 mini catalog, or the spring mini catalog. That's probably what I'll call it the rest of the video. But if you purchase these together in the bundle, you save 10%. So it's a really good deal. I don't know, sometimes the lighting, you can't see the punch very well, but it's got a nice big tulip and a leaf. And it punches out the largest tulip in the set and this leaf right here. And it's a photopolymer set. I love that it has all these greetings too. Now, I'm not using the greeting this time because it didn't go with the way I was making my card, but I have made cards with these greetings too, and it's just a really nice set. The next thing I'm using another bundle from the Spring Mini. It's the So Sentimental bundle. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know these are my favorite dies right now. These are the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and they coordinate perfectly with this stamp set. And once again, if you purchase the bundle, you save 10%. And I'm using the I Can't Thank You Enough. And then the, oh, let me get my dishes out here. Then the dies I'm going to use are this one and this one. I'm actually not using the scalloped rectangles, which is what I probably use the most. And I think that's all I need to show you right now. Oh, I am using one other punch. This is the Detailed Trio punch. This is from the annual catalog, and I'll be using this little guy right here. It's one that I haven't used that much, but it works perfect with this Stitch So Sweetly dies. Okay, now I'm going to bring in a piece of mint macaron. This is my card base. It is 8.5 by 5.5. Just fold that in half, make the corners meet. Get my trusty bone folder out. There's my card base. Now I'm going to take this piece. This is a Whisper White piece. You can just use a scrap, but this one happens to be 4.5 by 2.25. And this is a photopolymer set, so I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat and a little piece of grid paper. This is the Stamparatus grid paper. It fits perfectly in the Stamparatus. I highly recommend having this if you've got the Stamparatus. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the biggest tulip and my Highland Heather ink. I'm going to ink that up and stamp it here on the left. I'm actually, if you look at the punch, it's angled. I want to look at it this way because this is the way I'm going to be punching it. It's angled to the left a little bit. So when I go to stamp this, I'm going to angle it just a little bit, and that'll help it line up in the punch a lot easier. You don't have to worry about corners getting in the way if it's angled similar to what the punch is. It doesn't have to be exact, just similar. And then on this end, I'm going to stamp the thank you. I love this stamp. I love the shape of it, and I love how it works perfectly with the dies. So this is with gray granite ink, and I'll just stamp this over here, like so. So that's ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and punch that tulip out. I keep putting it on the wrong end for, I'm a right-handed person. I should have stamped it over here. Probably would have made it a little easier, but that's okay. But see how it lines up? I'm going to angle it to me so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'll put it back in the screen. And then you just see how I've got it angled, so that made it line up really easy. So I've got my tulip. And this one's going to be die cut, so I'll put that over to the side for right now. Actually, let's go ahead and get the die cutting done. I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. And we'll put this down, and then I have a piece of mint macaron. This is 3 3/4 by 2.5, and I should be able to die cut both of these at the same time. So it's the smaller of the label dies that I got out. They're going to be right here. Get that lined up, and then this larger label is going to go right here. And just run it through real quick, and they'll be ready to go. And I love the stitching. I am such a sucker for the there we go, for the stitching. So I've got the stitching on that one, and this one also has stitching. Very neat. Okay, so we'll get those dies out of the way. We're done die cutting for this card. Get that die back in my dish so I don't lose it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I use the detail trio punch for this. I wanted to have little notches right here because I'm going to thread some ribbon through. And the neat thing with this, it ends up, I was really happy with how this worked out. You can feel, when you put this in, you can tell that you can't go any farther this direction. So what I'm doing, I'm putting in as far as it can go. I'm going to angle it to me and put it, if you see these straight things, I'll put it in front of you here in just a minute. But these straight parts here, actually if I stand up, I could probably do it all at once. Stick this in as far as it'll go. If you look at the angled parts of this punch right here, you want to make sure that you don't see that straight line anymore. See, now I've got it too far over so I know it's not in the center. You can see it right here. So I'm going to move it over to where I can't see it. This thing works a lot better if you've got it laying down on your work surface. So I'm going to check that out. Looks pretty good. Also, you can kind of see this little line here. If it's going straight up, you're good. But I love that I could stick it in as far as it could go, and it's perfect. Isn't that cool? I was excited about that. I love it when things work out like that. I don't have to guess if I'm in the right spot, make a little mark. All you have to do is stick it in there, stick it as far as it'll go, and make sure you don't see the two straight edges. And then once you've got this on there too, you can kind of tell if this is pointing straight at it. The other one, that usually helps too. And with this punch, you always want to punch from the middle. Don't do it from where you think it's going to punch. You do it from the middle, and it punches a lot easier. Isn't that neat? I love that. Okay, so I've got another use for that wonderful punch. Sometimes I forget about my annual catalog stuff because I'm working with the mini and the celebration stuff. So I was excited when I remembered I had that punch. So that's ready to go. We'll go ahead and put the I Can't Thank You Enough on there. It's just going to go right in the center. And you love how these two dies look together. It fits very nicely right there. So that's ready to go. So I'll put that back in my dish till I'm ready for it again. Okay, now I'm going to bring my Stampin' Pierce mat back out and a piece of Whisper White. This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in the little tulip I just punched out, and I know I want that at the top center, so I'm just going to lay that there, and this is going to help me know where I want to put my other tulips and my stems and everything. So I'm using the medium tulip and just putting it about right here at an angle. Isn't that detail great? I don't know if I got that close up. Isn't that beautiful? That was me just stamping at one time. I love that. Our distinctable stamps are beautiful, and they're exclusive to Stampin' Up, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I've got those ready. Now I'm going to bring in the stem. Now I'm going to give you a pointer on this. Sometimes you get the ink there on the edge where you don't want it, especially where this is kind of sticking out. I might see if I can trim that, but we'll see. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to be real careful and try to keep that ink pad as straight as I can. And I think it's easier to hold it like this, and you can see what you're doing a little bit better. Hopefully I don't have any ink on those edges. But also when you stamp this, let's go ahead and do the middle one first. I'm going to make sure that tulip's where I want it. Hold it here, move it out of the way, and stamp. There we go, that's perfect. Now with the others, I need to line it up, and that one I hope I just didn't mess that up because I didn't hold it. Just make sure I don't jiggle it. Bring it straight up. Good, because there were ones I did, I kept getting a little line here. So I'll turn this over again, make sure that ink pad is nice and straight. Looks like I got a little bit of ink on my block just to be on the safe side. Now I'm going to angle it this way and get it right underneath that flower. I love a photopolymer. See, just as long as you don't jiggle it, you won't have a problem with that. And you'll see in a minute my mistakes, because when I turn this over, you're going to see it. I love having two different sides to our cardstock. So I'm going to do the same thing with this, because there's also a little lip right here. It's easy to get ink. When you're holding the ink pad, you can kind of feel the pressure you're putting on it too, and it kind of helps that you don't push it too hard. There we go. It's okay that I didn't get it quite on there because it's going to be hidden a little bit. Let's see, let's put another one. Let's see, actually, let's turn this one over. There we go. Put that one there. I'm also using this one. Oop, I got a little bit of ink, I can tell right there. And I'm going to go ahead and let them overlap a little bit because they're tulips and the leaves can be getting in each other's way with no problem. I think I like this one over here. And I'm just making sure that I definitely have the leaves close to the where the flower is. Let's see, I like the look of that one. Now I can tell I'm starting to get some here on the edges because I got a little bitty mark right there. But it's pretty microscopic, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. And I think I'm going to do another one of these straighter ones. Do it like that. Okay, so that's ready to go. Now I'm going to put on the designer series paper. This is a piece of Subtle's 6x6 designer series paper that's from the annual catalog. And this is the Highland Heather color. So I like the script on this one for this card. Oops. So put the snail on there. I keep closing my snail up for some reason. I guess it's a habit. Try to keep that open this time. I'm going to stick this down here at the bottom, lining up the edges with of the DSP with the Whisper White piece. So we've got that on there. Now let's go ahead. Okay, that's what I did. I did do the ribbon. This is beautiful mint macaron sheer linen ribbon. It is 1/8 of an inch wide. And this is a 34-inch piece. I wanted it nice and long because I wanted to have a double bow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get those ends together. Try to keep it so it's not curling. Actually, it started to curl, so it's actually better if you fold it up here. Then you can take your fingers and go down and untwist it because it is a long piece. That looks pretty good. It's not twisted anymore. Now I can put the ends together a little bit, like so. Then I'm going to wrap it around. And it's going to go over here, so I have to play around with this a little bit. You definitely need this to be shorter than this end because this is going to be the one doing all the wrapping. And the next thing I want to do is grab my label, and I'm going to thread it. Get hold of this thread because I want it to be pretty straight. They don't have to be perfectly straight. There we go. That looks good. I'm going to stick it through both ends through my label, like so. Actually, before I get going, let's put a dimensional up here and down here. Okay, so I'm going to put a dimensional here on the top and one on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to leave the backing on, get these straight again, kind of hold them maybe on top of each other. It's a little easier to thread it through when they're together like this. I'm going to start from the top and go down through the bottom. And I love this loop because it is a little wider than just a regular hole punch, and that helps you be able to get through the both pieces of ribbon through. Oops, as I said that, there we go. Now, I'm going to lay this down, get this straight, get it about where I want it, and play around with it. That looks pretty good for tying the bow. Okay, now that I've kind of got it placed where I want it, before I tie the ribbon together, I'm going to hold the one that's down on the left of the bottom one so it stays in place. Now I'm going to remove the backing. What you do, this is just a little trick I learned. If you use your paper piercer, you put it in there kind of at an angle, it'll lift it up really quick. Sometimes you don't need that, sometimes you do. Now I'm not worrying about the ribbon moving on me a little bit, it'll be okay. But now I want to get this centered. That looks pretty good. So now that's in place, so I don't have to worry about my label moving on me. Now I just need to tie my ribbon over here. And the one nice thing about having this raised up too, if my ribbon's not exactly where I want it, I can still move it back and forth because this is raised up. So that helps a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this loop here, because sometimes that extra loop kind of messes you up when you start doing your bow. So I'll tie them so I can have these perpendicular, like so. This is the one I'm going to loop up, the bottom one, and then wrap around the top one. It's a little harder to get a hold of two ribbons. There we go. Just kind of play around with it. But I wanted to have that double bow look since it is thinner ribbon. So I kind of like having the thinner ribbon because you can do a fancier bow. So you just keep playing with it, kind of separate them. I'm going to bring my scissors in and cut them at an angle. Like so. I can play around with it. If it gets to where it twists too much, you can always put like a little glue dot to keep it in place, but that looks pretty good. I'll probably play with it more once I get it on. But now that I've got the ribbon on, I can put it on a piece of Highland Heather. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. Take my snail. You can see there's the mistakes. I kept making all these little marks on it, and I'm like, okay, we're starting over again. So like I said, I love having two sides to the cardstock. Nobody will know except for you watching this video. If I give it to somebody, they'll never know that I did that. Most, of course, are watching the video. So I'm going to put this in the center, like so. And I did only make it 1/8 of an inch larger than my Whisper White. That's why I had the odd size for the white, because I just wanted that narrow border around there. So just 1/8 of an inch wider and lengthwise. Bring in my card base again. We'll stick this on the front. Stick it in the center. And I wanted the regular border from the Highland Heather to the card base, so I wanted it to be a little thicker. So there's that. Now I'm like, wait a minute, we're not done yet. We still have a tulip to put on there. I'm putting it on with dimensionals. Looks like I've used up all my big ones on this sheet. So I'll grab my paper snips, and while they're still on the backing, I think it works so much better when you cut it while it's still on the backing and cut through the backing itself. Then you can just take it off. I think 2 of these larger ones will be fine. And these are coming off easy, so I'm not going to worry about using my paper piercer. Put that on there, and I've got a little bit, oh, that's just dust. Good. I thought I had a little blemish there, but you can put this on at an angle, whatever you want to do. And there's the front of the card. And see how my bow has kind of twisted on me? I'm twisting it the other direction, and that helped a lot. So I can keep playing around with that as I go. Now we're going to decorate the inside. I thought the special card needs more than just this on the inside. So I'm bringing in another 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inch piece Whisper White. I made it the same size as the front, so that way you don't get your Whisper White pieces mixed up. That's what I did for my camp ladies. They made this last month in camp. So I'm going to bring in my nice big stem with my mint macaron again. Kind of put it at an angle here. Try not to tilt it like I have before. That looks pretty good. So I'm actually doing this the opposite of what I did in the front. Normally I do the flower first, but that's okay. Because I'm going to show you how easy it is that you can still line up that tulip right on top of that stem too with no problems. I love it when it works that way. Then we'll bring in my mint macaron again. Bring in this leaf. Put that there. And I think I'll do this one over here. There we go. A lot of times I put just design like a little corner, but this one I thought, oh, that'd be pretty to have a taller tulip on the inside. So put my snail on here. Bring in my card base again and put that on the inside. There you go. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's card. I love this tulip set. So pretty. You're going to be seeing more projects with this tulip set, I'm sure. Not just cards either. I've got some other ideas in my head. See if I have time to get them all done. So if you enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please make sure that you click that subscribe button in the bottom right corner, and then make sure you click the little bell, because that will make it so YouTube will notify you every time one of my videos pops up whenever I post one. And if you don't have a US demonstrator and you live in the United States, I'd love to be your demo. And if you don't have any current catalogs and would like some, please just contact me. You can click the contact me below link below in my description, and I'll get with you and get your address and get some catalogs mailed out to you. If you want to order from me, there's a link down below to my online store. And I also have a doily rewards program. For every $50 you spend on an order from me, you'll earn a doily. When you get 10 doilies, you contact me and you get a $50 shopping spree, and I even pay the shipping and tax. So I love to help my customers out and thank them. I so appreciate all my customers. This is just a little way that I thank you for your business. So I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye.